Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So today we are going to discuss about digital auditing and assurance. What is the difference between auditing digitally and digital audit? Then we will be talking about various concepts like understanding the IT environment, identifying the risk, assessing cyber risk, emerging technologies in audit, audit automation, control considerations of auditing digitally, and next gen audit. Okay. So, before I proceed forward, before I proceed, we before starting the discussion on the topic, I would like to ask you guys, what do you understand with respect to digital audit? What do you understand with digital audit? What do you think is a digital audit about? So, if I say, okay, tell me what comes in your mind when you hear the term digital audit? Good, Charu, yes. Okay, Sumit, yes. Very good, Robin. Yes. Good, Mancha. Anyone else? Anyone? I'll show you something with respect to digital auditing, and then we can discuss that particular part. Okay. So when I talk about digital auditing, there are two things that I want to discuss. Okay. There are two things that I want to discuss. Basically, one, how controls around systems help us to manage the data. Okay, how the controls around the system manage to or help us on the data side of the audit. See, when I talk about digital auditing, it's nothing but relying upon the controls. It's nothing but that you you have a system. Let's say you have a company which is totally working on software basis. Okay, they have a lot of softwares, ERP into the picture. They have a lot of systems in their organizations, and based on that, the things get processed. Now what happens is, when I have such kind of company, when I have such kind of audit client, then at that particular point in time, it becomes very difficult for me to identify how to audit. Okay, to identify how to audit that particular client. And at that point in time, digital audit comes into place. Okay, digital audit comes into place. Now, a simple example. If I give you a simple example, okay, Let's say I'm trying to audit, let's say, uh, a company, medical, e-medical company, which provides, medical services online. Okay. Now that company has, like, I asked the company, can you share me area wise list that, okay, how much deliveries you have done, okay, or maximum public health facilities in a particular district you have, or something like that. So, like, I can ask, company, okay, company, can you give me this? Company, can you give me this? Now, what company will give me? Company will pull out the data from system and then will give me. Now, let's see one example. Okay. Let's say, for example, company gave me this particular data file. Okay. They have deliveries, they have IP attendance, everything. Okay. So they have various, facilities in a particular district. Number of facilities, number of nil performance, or, what is the scenario, the district details, everything is there. Okay. This is a limited set of data for your understanding purpose. Now, if this is a limited set of data, okay, like, I can easily identify what is wrong, what is right. But think of the data set. Think of the data, let's say, for example, which have thousands of line items, which even can't be opened in Excel. I even can't open in Excel because Excel has a limitation, correct? So the last row in Excel is this one. 6 lakh 55, sorry, 65,536. More than that, Excel cannot contain any record. You try to add a line, it won't exceed beyond that. It won't exceed. Means if I have a more than 65,536 records, a single Excel file is not sufficient. Okay, I can have a multiple Excel files. But think of a company who is doing a daily transaction, for example, bank. Think of a company who is doing, various transactions in a particular day and has a presence across India. Think of the quantum of the transactions, not only sale, purchase, various different type of transactions. Do you think that transactions can be fitted or can be, combined in one Excel file? What do you think? How many companies do you think will be there which have more than, 65,000, entries in a year? How many companies do you think? Many, many, I would say. Having, thousands of crores of turnover, these companies have many transactions. Now, for them, they already use a different type of data sets. They use a different type of, softwares to store the data. For example, you might have heard about SQL database. Okay. You might have heard, now there is a new technology called NoSQL. Okay. One of such is MongoDB. Okay. So these are the, technologies which are currently there, which uses various type of database to store the data, not Excel, but various type of database. Now the question comes is, when a data is stored in a particular database, at that particular point in time, it becomes very difficult for an auditor to understand, okay, how to audit that database, how to audit that particular database. So that is something, it becomes very, very difficult. I'll show you one example. Like, this is the Excel file which can be understood. This is the Excel file which still can be understood. Okay. For example, this is a kind of data. Okay, we have Excel, we can do some analytics, we can do a lot of things. But at times the data is in format that you cannot even understand easily. Unless and until you have expertise knowledge, you cannot understand the data. It becomes very difficult. Very, very difficult. I'll show you one example of that. Just a minute, let me open that. Okay. Let me open one file for you guys. Okay. Now let's say this is a simple example I'm showing you. Simple example. This is another, simple Excel file. Like state-wise, we have some numbers functioning of FTSC. Okay. That is a fast track special code schemes. How many fast track special code schemes are working in a particular state? Simple data, nothing much. Because it is in Excel, you can easily understand. Because it's in a tabular format, you can easily understand the data. Now, I'll show you the same data in a different format, in a format which is usually, we see in the IT systems. Now, this is the same data that you are seeing on your screen. This is in JSON format. Or sometimes the data are in, in various different format. This is still legible. I can, figure it out something. But if I ask you, can you do a data analytics? Can you like easily identify what this data says? Answer, I think, won't be no. How many of you know what is a JSON format? JSON format of data. How many of you know? Come on, guys. How many of you know JSON data format? Full form. Okay. What is the full form of JSON? Can anyone tell me the full form, at least if you know? JSON is basically like, in income tax also, when you actually file a return, a JSON, you prepare a return, a JSON file gets generated. Remember, like if you have done that particular part, that when you go and prepare a return in income tax utility, a JSON file gets generated. That JSON file, yes, very good, Sumit. Okay. In GST also, that JSON file is a JavaScript object notation file. And in front of you, the black one is a JSON file. This is not the IT class. I'll not go in much detail for the JSON, but I'm just telling you that, a lot of times data is in format in which you won't be able to understand. Data will be in a format which will be, which will go from your head. Like, okay, what should I do now with this data? Okay. In that case, controls around the IT system. Let's say, for example, this particular data has came from the system. What if the system missed out a one single comma here? What if the system missed out a single comma here? Trust me, it will be a disaster. A single comma. If you miss out a single comma in this JSON file, it will become invalid. If I show you an example of this, I'll show you one example where a good JSON file becomes, what do you say? Uh, is kind of ruined just by missing one comma. just by missing one particular comma. I'll take this same example for you guys. Just a minute. Just let me show you one example. Okay, this is a particular JSON file that we were seeing. Okay, in front of you, you have. Now, if I just remove one comma from here, this whole JSON file will crash. See, already I'm getting an error. View expected commas, view problem. So now, because just one comma is gone from this particular JSON file, this is an invalid JSON file. And if you try to run anywhere, if you try to convert, if you try to do with anything with this JSON file, you won't be able to do that. So because of one comma, this JSON file will go crazy. And I got a problem already. In IT terms, we call it bug. Okay. So the point is that, when we are dealing with the systems, when we are dealing with the IT systems, we don't know what is correct data, what is not. We have not seen inside the systems. So how to gain a comfort that, okay, the comma is not missing. Something is not missing. Everything is appropriate. How will you gain that particular comfort? Let's say, okay, for example, I'll tell you simplest example. Okay, let's say there is an ERP which has all the accounting entries within it. Now, let's say, for example, hypothetical example, I have this ERP with me. Okay, this has all the manual journal entries. I want to audit these manual journal entries. How will I do that? How will I do that? Anyone? Like, okay, not I'm asking in detail, but what different thing you will do? Anyone? What different you will do over here? Like, let's say, for example, you have MJE data in JSON format. Okay, in that particular system. How will you audit that data? How? export in Excel, have the knowledge of system, knowledge about ERP means how transactions are processed, assessed, controlled. Very good, Mansha, Charu, Sumit. Excellent. That is, if you talk about, having the knowledge of ERP, understanding the ERP, how the transaction is processed, accessed, controlled, rectified, okay, gain the knowledge of system, that is digital audit. That I understand what are the controls placed in that particular system. For example, when I enter a transaction, okay, when I enter a transaction, it should give me an error if I do something wrong. The error is the control in the system because it identifies the error and promptly gives you that, okay, this is a particular error. You cannot process this transaction. Are you getting my point? So, if that is a scenario, that particular, prompt is given that, okay, this is a particular error, means there is some control around that particular system. There is a control around ERP. Okay. I'm not sure how many of you have seen a basic ERP systems, how many of you have worked, but if I talk about, let's say, simple tool, simple ERP tool. Okay. I don't know you have seen Tally or not. I'm not sure whether you have seen a Tally or not, basically, but there are some small inbuilt features in Tally also. Tally is a good ERP system, okay, for small scales, but it has a very some inbuilt features also. Okay, it's some inbuilt features. Like for example, you cannot pass a negative cash entry. You cannot pass a negative cash entry. Now, that's being said that like when you try to pass, it will give you a error. Okay, it will give you error. Now, in that case, it is like what do you say? System built control. It's a system built control which basically allows you to not pass a particular negative entry. Okay, I'll just show you one example if I have. See, I'll just give me 1 minute. Let me show you one example. This is a simple tally screen, dummy data, nothing else. What I'm doing is I'm issuing a payment voucher. Simple. I have a cash, I have a dummy vendor, but the amount is negative 5,000. Paying negative 5,000. Now, paying a negative 5,000, actually, can you pay to someone negative 5,000? No, it's an issue. Like, system should not allow this. If I go enter, something like that, it gives me an error. No cash or bank account credited. If I'm doing a payment, but it says me that, okay, it is not credited. Okay, cash or bank account. Reason because it's a payment. I should credit a credit effect should go into my cash and bank account. Okay, because balance should go down. Simple accounting concept. But here, because the amount is negative 5,000, there is a system check which doesn't allow me to process a transaction. Okay, which is not allowing me to process the transaction. So I have some controls in the ERP. I have some, effective controls in ERP, which is, kind of helping me. Okay. In order to process a transaction, like inbuilt controls are there. Inbuilt controls is there. So understanding those controls and auditing that IT system placing assurance on that effectiveness of IT system, that how effective the IT system is, called a digital audit. If I assess the effectiveness of this IT system, that is a digital audit. Technology related controls, gap, risk is analyzed, identified, and they are audited. Now, why we need digital audit? The reason, because number one, if I tell you we have more than 20 lakh transactions, I can give you a print of all the transactions. But do you think that will be efficient way to audit? Like tick all the transactions, tick 20,000 transactions physically. No, that will won't be work. That will not be appropriate. If I tell you, we have a 20 lakh transactions. Now you need to corroborate whether they are appropriately posted into a ledger or not. So I have 20,000 or 20 lakhs journal entries. Whether those journal entries have been appropriate, effect in their ledgers, you need to take a printout of a ledger. You need to take a printout of all the journal entries. Then you need to match, okay, this has an impact, this has an impact, this has an impact, this has an impact, this has an impact. Think the effort that you will put. That's why digital audit is necessary for us. Because of the technological advancement in today's time, we have more reliable audit reports because our audit is now based on understanding the data, auditing the systems. Once you have the data in your hand, you can take basically, informed decisions what to do with this particular data. What to do with this particular data, what not to do, something like that. Okay. So with simple examples, simple data, you can do a lot of things rather than which you cannot do manually with manual data. You have a standardized process. Once you have an ERP or system, there is, there is for sure it will be a standardized process. For example, entering journal entry into a system. Now, let's say, for example, we don't have an ERP, we have everything manual. The person will write journal entry in his books like they used to do in the old times. Or if any process is manual, they will perform manual work. Now, what will happen in that case? If the person will perform manual work, okay, in that case, what will happen is he might do it differently, or some other person who is doing manually might do it differently. Uh, I'm not sure how many of you know HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP in Excel. Okay, these are the two formulas that are basically used in Excel. Okay, HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. Just one simple example I'll tell you. So you know these two formulas in Excel. Majority of you might be already knowing about these formulas in Excel, if I'm not wrong. Okay. If majority of you already know about these formulas, okay, in Excel, uh, you might have heard about this formula also. Have you heard X lookup? Have you heard about this formula? I'm sure some of you might have not heard about this. Okay. This is a combination of both H and V. combination of both formulas. Okay. So you can apply both formulas together, H and V, that becomes X lookup. Kind of. Now, a person can apply H and V lookup formula and can get the work done. A person can apply X lookup formula and get the work done. Even there are many ways to apply a particular formula, and I can get you the same results. But the problem is there is no standardization. You will get the output, but the method to get the output is different. And that is, we get an advantage when we have a digital systems. So the logic is same. Logic is predefined that, okay, you need to use X lookup only. The system will know that I need to use this formula, this function. He will do it. You will get every time the same output. So once you understand the logic of a system, it will remain same. Unless and until there is a system update, system improvement, change in the system. So we have a standardized process in digital audit, in digital systems. And that helps us to predict the output for a given input. That helps us to, predict output for a given input. And if you can predict output for a given input, means what happens is your time, cost, everything will go down, because now you can do data analytics. You know what output I'm expecting. What output I'm expecting. So, for example, I know this is the output, XYZ output I'm expecting by this particular input. And where the output is not as per your expectation, those can be exceptions. And those exceptions you will pick up and you will audit. Means think about 20 lakhs transaction I identified in this way. Let's say, for example, exceptions. I identified some exceptions, and on the basis of that, okay, I identified 5,000 items which would be potential exception for me. Out of 5,000, based on materiality, I'll pick some and I'll test. Materiality, risk assessment, and everything. I'll pick some and I'll test. Think of the the effort that you have reduced by performing, understanding the system, by performing digital audit, by performing better analytics. So that is about the digital audit. If you go, let's see in the module itself. So as I was talking about in digital audit, okay, digital audit is planning assurance effectiveness of the IT systems, basically implemented in an organization. Like you place assurance on the IT systems. You, after auditing the IT systems, after understanding the IT systems, you place a reliance. Okay. And if I talk about key features of an, digital audit, first, technological advancement. Because of the technological advancement, we understand the system. We have to audit the system. We also adopt the technological advancement. For example, just now I displayed you JSON file. Usually you cannot, understand JSON file easily. Like you need some editors, IDE to open a JSON file, to open some scripts. Excel, Excel you can open. But let's say you have a data in JSON file. So now what will happen is, if you want to understand the data, you might need to get understanding of JSON. You might need IDE, okay, or an editor where you can, just open the JSON file, understand, convert it, do whatever you want. Means because of a particular system, you are also adopting a technology. So it's a kind of technological advancement. Okay. It is more reliable. You get a more reliable audit report because digital audit improves the quality of your opinion. Means it helps us to identify the exceptions, understanding the data, reducing the effort saved by saving the time. A lot of things happen. Because of that, you are easily able to identify the exceptions or the areas of higher risk, and that improves your audit quality. Once audit quality improves, your report is more reliable. Again, saving times and human effort, we saw. Standardized process, we understood. Comprehensive overview, you can get data easily, you can analytics, you can do a lot of. Future for a digital strategy, like, for a future technologies also, and informed decisions, a lot of things can be there. So these were again same on the same line. You have the advantages of digital audit, like enhanced effectiveness and efficiency, better audit quality, lower cost, better analytics, improved risk assessment. Why improved risk assessment? Simple example. Remember for this, out of 20 lakhs MJE, you can identify 2,000 exceptions in MJE easily within minutes. That is the improved risk assessment. That is the improved risk assessment I'm talking about. And this is just an example. Now, there could be many challenges with respect to, what you say, digital audit, like, understanding the automation, understanding the people. See, without people, systems do not work. You have the people element within the system. People, process, policies, they are always there. So you need to understand the people element also. You need to target the right process. There could be multiple process in a system, in an ERP. For example, one system is, processing of manual journal entries. One system is only transferring a journal entry from the journal entry register to the ledger. Which process you are targeting, which process you are focusing is very important. Okay. You need to see about standardization, governance, and a lot of things are there. They poses a challenge with respect to a digital audit. But having said that, it's very important in today's time with respect to having a digital audit. Very, very important. Okay. Then comes the next part. What is then auditing digitally? How it is different? How digital audits is different than auditing digitally? So till now we were talking about digital audit. What do you think of auditing digitally? What is different in that? What is different in that? When I talk about auditing digitally, what do you understand? What comes first in your mind? Anyone? What comes in your mind? Anyone, if anyone can provide me some examples. In normal audit also, auditor check the effectiveness of the IT systems. Only that part is called digital audit or separate assignment. How different is this from the normal audit? See, in normal audit, you place a reliance upon the IT systems. Okay. You place a reliance upon the IT systems. You check the ITGC controls. That is only digital audit. Okay. That particular part. So digital audit is not a separate assignment. Digital audit is a part of your normal audit. It is not a separate audit. Sometimes, yes, we do have a separate digital assignments also, digital audit assignment, where we just need to audit the systems. They are generally maybe called as the IT audits or something with a different name. But yes, they can exist in both forms. Majoritarily, digital audit is kind of, you have with normal audit. It's a part of the process of the normal audit only. Okay, part and process of the normal audit. So another answer that is about the auditing digitally is audit with the use of IT making effective and efficient. Audit of system and process, technology used by the entity for its operation, conducting audit with transparency, POS, inventory management, 100% auditing, no sample. See, I'll tell you, auditing digitally, the term that I'm talking about, is about using the IT tools and technology to conduct audit basically. I use softwares, I use technology to conduct audit. I use it for my purpose, not the entity. Understand that auditing digitally means that I am using some technology. I am using some softwares, RPA, AI, blockchain technology that helps me to do the audit more efficiently. Are you understanding my point? That is auditing digitally. Now the question is, can we get absolute assurance with technology? Answer is no. See, no organizations operates with 100% automation. There is a people, process, and policy element with the technology. Whenever there is a people, process, and technology element, there are risks. There is, deviation from the standardization. Number two, considering the number of transactions, even if I say everything is 100% automated, I cannot check 100% transactions. There still be, let's say for example, if everything is 100%, still I feel, there will be different type of scenarios which could, let's say for example, negative cash 5,000 entry that I was showing you in a particular system or tally. Okay. Because it's a negative 5,000, okay, system is able to catch, okay, it's a negative, it's not allowed. But what if, I do some tricks and tips, tricks, I change the GL or whatever, or something like that. It's a unique case. System might not be able to catch it. Although you have programming, everything in place. But there are still scenarios which system will not be able to identify. Okay, this is an exception. And it will allow to process. And what will happen in that scenario? You need to go and check and you need to think of scenarios and exceptions. See, before identifying an exception, you should be aware what the exceptions look like. If I try to catch an exception, first I need to understand what an exception look like, what an exception is. For example, journal entry, negative journal entry is an exception, but I should know that negative journal entry I'm looking for. Another example, negative cash entry. So I know, yes, negative cash entry I'm looking for. That's an exception. Journal entries on holidays, public holidays, journal entries on Saturday, Sunday, unless and until it's not a month end, okay, or not a working day for anyone. Journal entry passed by super admin. So these, I know that these could be exceptions, and for that I need to identify what an exception is. But let's say, for example, can you identify 100% all the exceptions? Answer is no. If you cannot identify 100% all the exceptions, you cannot completely identify full risk. And that's why we cannot or we can never get absolute assurance. That is very, very difficult and not possible to get an absolute assurance. And even that is not, what is it, cost effective way. Even 100% auditing is not cost effective and not an appropriate way of auditing. That's why we have a concept of risk-based auditing. If we have to do 100% auditing, then why we are identifying the risk? Why we are doing risk assessment? Why we are doing materiality? If we have to do 100% audit, then you should remove the risk assessment, materiality, and everything. No need of them. Because 100% audit is not an effective way. It's not an appropriate way. That's why we have a risk assessment, risk-based audit technique. We have a materiality. So there is one question. Is there any audit software available in market? There are not many, any, but there are a lot many. Trust me. And I'll show you some examples also with respect to audit softwares. Can we set the audit trail? Now, for the companies, it is mandatory to set the audit trail. For companies, private limit, for all the companies, they are mandatory required to have audit trail softwares since 1st April 2023. So, audit trail is there. Now you can catch it, whatever exceptions you want. It's mandatory for the companies at least. So, a lot of tools can be there, a lot of tools. Can anyone tell me uh, how they select a sample? Let's say for example, if I tell you, okay, select 25 samples, how will you select? How will you select that sample? Anyone? I tell you, okay, select 25 samples. What method you will use to select the sample? Anyone? Random table, idea, audit tool, okay? Using sampling techniques depending upon the population and criteria, okay? I use the idea, by the way, so I know. So there are various methods like systematic haphazard, okay, fine, very good. Yes. So it is a kind of, like, what is it? You do sample selection. Most people will do a random sampling. Okay, most people will use a random sampling method. But there are multiple tools available in the market, and the auditor use these multiple tools to select the sample. One such example, if I show you, just a minute. This is one such example of sample selection tool. Okay, Procognize. So this is an Excel based tool. Okay, I am trying to get a clear picture, but there is some issue because of this particular part. But yes, there is. This is a Procognize tool. One example. I'm not promoting any company. Okay, it's just a demo example. I'm just showing you of this particular tool. What this tool does, this tool basically, you enter some detail that, for example, you enter what is your margin of error over here. This is margin of error. Okay, your confidence interval, end sequence, start sequence. Okay, detail about the test, controls, everything, number of selections, how many selections you have to do, number of samples that is required. Okay, so you do everything, you provide the data to this particular tool. And what, remember, so what then this tool does is, I'll tell you. It gives you then the whatever data you need. Let's say, for example, it's a, 35 or 33 samples data it was. You get these 33 sample data. So in that case, you get this 33 sample data with a sequence, everything, you get whatever data it is. So this is one kind of a tool, not the only one kind of a tool. Same way you have multiple tools in the market, which helps you to, get this particular sampling done easily and with different methods. And that too, I'm talking about with different methods, not a simple single method, but different methods. We have Alteryx, we have, randomizers, we have Idea. A lot of companies are there, Audit Board, a lot of companies. So you can, do a lot of things with the help of various different tools over here. Okay, just an example. I'm saying some people might use simple tools. Some people might use, different what is it, complex tools for selecting the samples. But that is the thing that, using digital technology for the audit, using digital technology for the audit. That is auditing digitally. How many of you heard about RPA? How many of you have heard RPA? Yes, Sumit. Very good. Robotic process automations. Have you used one? Have you used anyone? Anyone have used any RPA as of now? Anyone? Okay. Basically, no issues if you guys have not used or no, ChatGPT is altogether different than RPA. It's not RPA. RPA is something different. Okay. Now, when I talk about RPA, basically, okay, I'll also show you AI ML and about ChatGPT. Don't worry on that. But when I talk about RPA, okay, robotic processing automation. Okay. Now, in that particular area, what happens basically? There is a script, there is something, and that script or that particular thing does some task for you. Okay. They do a task for you. Uh, for example, if I have something, uh, I need to share something. I need to get a data from this. I need automatic clicks on something. Okay. So there is some particular way. Okay. Something I want to do a routine task, and for that routine task, I'm creating RPA. That okay, before that happens, before that before I get the data, that routine task is done. That routine task is done. For example, data sanitization. I need to remove blank space from the data. Okay. I need to, do something with respect to, might be filtering the data. I might need to do something, a particular thing for in a data, to get something kind of, so it's a routine task. If it is a routine task, in that case, what happens is I need to repeat it again and again, again and again, again and again. And for that, I create automation. I create a simple code. I create a simple script which runs multiple times. Okay. And which helps me basically to do it and to, to do the task very easily. I'll show you one one small example of a script which is kind of a scrappy script. Again, it's an example. Not that I'm not sure it will definitely work, but this is a script which requires somewhat triggering and changing. This is a Python scrappy script. What is the script? A code basically. Okay, there is a other part of the code that is something different. I'll not showing over here, but generally this is a scrappy script based on Python. Okay. Now what is this does is this particular script. Okay. Whenever I will run, what it will do is it will pick up some data. Okay. It will convert into CSV. Okay. And it will give me that particular data in CSV format or in Excel format. So from web to Excel, it will convert. Hypothetical example I'm giving you about this particular, okay. Now, what will happen is whenever it will go to a particular website, it will get the data from the website, it will convert that data, it will give whatever processing I will do, and it will give me the final output in Excel format. Okay. So it does a routine task. For example, I have to go on website, I have to copy paste, do everything and get it, in the Excel. No, done away. I will use RPA. Same way with the manual journal entry. So, or trial balance or balance sheet or something like that. Whenever I'll get a manual journal entry, I'll check whether the total of each and every manual journal entry is getting zero or not. But to see that, I need to go with each and every manual journal entry. Instead, I can create a RPA, which will do it for me. It will go to each and any journal entry, will check, okay, getting zero, good, move ahead. Getting zero, good, move ahead. And the routine task will be done by the RPA. Simple example. I have a list of data. I want to create confirmations. It's a routine task. Okay. In every audit, I need to create confirmations, confirmation documents with the balance or without the balance or whatever it is. But understand one thing, like, if it is a routine task, I can just program, I can write a script, can done easily with a particular routine task. Okay. Create a RPA, done. Every time I'll just give the data, RPA will run and give me the output. Actually, that is a scenario with the RPA. Okay. So that is, you will hear this particular word, sampling tools, RPA, AI, blockchain, and everything. So yes, these are the things that are used to automate, to enhance the audit experience, to enhance the audit process, to save your time. Think of, let's say, for example, you have 500 data with you to whom you want to send a confirmation. Think one side that you are, preparing confirmations for 500 data. Although I know you will copy paste in Word and Excel, okay, in Word, that content will be same, only just you will change the name. But somehow, if I can automate that, okay, I'll give you an Excel listing of the data. Just give me the output in the PDF or in Word document, all the confirmations with all the relevant address, everything which is there on their place. That is being done today. Like, with a quick, finger snap, I can create 200, 500, thousands of data confirmations easily. Not only that, I have an option to send those confirmations in email to those data also with just, like this way. I'll give a list, system will convert into confirmations, system will take the mail ID, will go to my mail account, will directly mail all those confirmations one by one to that customer within few seconds. Within few seconds. Now think how much time it saves. Okay, how much time it saves. So auditing digitally is using the technology while auditing. Okay. So basically, it's a kind of, automate and enhances the existing process of the auditing. It involves the scope of auditing using data analytics, machine learning to identify the exceptions. Usage of bots. Okay. Manual intervention get reduced because of the usage of bots. So improved audit quality I get. Decrease human dependency. Like for example, let's say someone while preparing the confirmation did a mistake, name mistake, balance mistake, whatever it is. I have removed the dependency, human dependency to that particular extent. And now I can be sure that, okay, if my logic is correct, my confirmations will be correct. Increasing transparency, like, you just need to show the logic, automation and ease, improved efficiency, because you have a less errors now in your audit, in your task. So that is auditing digitally. Before you pick up anything, before you use any technology in audit, always think why you want to use that technology, what is the purpose, and then you pick up a technology. First, identify a problem. Like, okay, why you want to pick up a technology? Okay, for example, uh, vendor reconciliations. Now you are getting a lot of vendor reconciliation data. Let's say you are getting a data in Excel for the vendor reconciliation. You want some tool to do automatically reconciliations. Or let's say, for example, bank reconciliations. You have bank data, you have book, ERP data. Now you want to perform automated reconciliations, identify, the reconciling items. Now, that is a problem with me. I cannot go, a lot of companies, let's say multinational companies or multinational entities have multiple bank accounts in, 500, 600,000 bank accounts for different purpose, different cities, countries, regions, and everything. I cannot go and verify BRS in each and every bank account. Like, if I have 100 bank account, I cannot do that. Instead, what I can do, I can create a RPA, create a bot who can do reconciliations for me, who can verify reconciliations for me based on a given logic. So first I identified a problem, then I identified a solution, like how and which technology can help me. Then I need to think that how can I implement that bot? Okay, I need a bot. But the problem is that how to implement a bot? Who will use it? Let's say, for example, to bot also, you need to give some input. And that's the difference between, AI and bot. I'll come to that particular part. First, once you identify the technology that, okay, you want to go for RPA, okay, then you have to, set the logic. You have to decide like, okay, which person from my team will use the bot, what data he will give, in which format he will give. What if the data given is wrong? So a lot of things are there where I need to train my people, I need to upskill my people, my team, okay, with the best technology available. I need to think of, all the automated solutions which are there. So once I do that, that is then I can implement the digitally, digital technology. Why, how, who, all these things are required to be taken care. So considering, considerations while auditing digitally is first identify what is the problem. Second, identify which technology can help you. And third, upskill your people to make you best use of a technology. Number four is automated solutions. Now, as I told you, there are multiple sampling tools. Now you need to pick up one. There could be multiple companies which could be providing you, multiple RPA bots, RPA scripts. You need to pick up one. I could have a, RPA script written in Python. I could have a RPA script written in any other language, C++ or in Java or whatsoever. Okay. I could have multiple, languages used for a RPA. Again, that depends upon, which technology I want to use. And if I use, let's say, Python, there could be multiple same RPA scripts written in a different way provided by different company. So, that is, basically RPA. So you need to then identify which range of automated solutions you are going to, apply. For example, I can use Python for Excel. Okay, if I want to do some data analytics in Excel, I can use Python scripts. Same way, I can use VBA scripts. On the similar line, I can use Power BI. I can do a lot. Okay, once I identify a technology, let's say I want to go a VBA script. Again, there are different choice for me. Range of automated solution under VBA. Sometimes, you have a long data and you have kind of, blank cells between the long data. Okay, or you have a duplicates in particular long data, something like that. Now, removing a duplicate is some tedious task also sometimes, in Excel or in something. You can create a script for that. You can literally create a script uh, to remove blank data or duplicate data. And then multiple scripts are available. Multiple scripts are available in the market for that. If I just show you one to identify and remove the duplicates, and this is a VBA based script. I have one. This is a VBA based script, not the Python. Earlier one, this was the Python based. Okay. Now this is a VBA based to remove duplicates. Now, if you know the language, you will be able to understand what this formula does. Okay. With a given range, it identifies duplicates and it do some things. There's a sheet known as a consolidated tracker. And in that it does something with respect to a given range. Okay. So like this way, basically, a particular script or a technology can help you out. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Yes, very good, Mancha. We need to understand client's IT environment also, not only ours. Okay, what for example, I took a tool. Let's say this particular example, VBA script to remove duplicate. What if the client is not providing you Excel data? He is providing you JSON data. Will this script be compatible to that particular one? Because VBA works in Excel. That is there. VBA will work in Excel. If that is works in Excel and if client giving you data in any other format, that script is useless for me. Although I have a technology, but that is not useful. So my technology and the client's technology should be compatible. Then only it will be helpful for me. Otherwise, it will not be. Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? So basically, there are multiple type of automation tools like macro scripts. Just now I showed you business process automations. RPA. RPA is an advanced version of this particular, what you say, scripts. Then you have, business process automation. Have you heard about Power Automate tool of Microsoft? Anyone? Power Automate. If anyone heard about the Power Automate tool of Microsoft, with the help of that particular tool, you can, automate your business process. I'll show you one example. I do have with me. This is a Power Automate tool. Okay. I have created. So basically, this is for the automated payment processing. So there is a, in business, we have business process like issuing payments and processing payments. I have created a tool which automatically process payments for me. Something like that. Okay. So it goes for the approval and everything. So I have a template design. I have done something. I'll show you. So this is the way I have created the whole, whole tool for me with the conditions and everything, approval, waiting for approval, posting approval, sending emails, terminate if I don't get approval. A lot of things are there in this, a lot of things are there basically. So what I have done is I have automated one of my process with the help of Power Automate. I'll show you one more, like, for invoicing, there is a tool for approval requirement. Let's say whenever someone processes an invoice, there should be an approval. Before approval, it should not get processed. So kind of, automation done. Again, for that also, I have created an automation and everything, like, that's with a flow, workflow. So I have identified the business and created a business flow over there. Okay. So similar way, that is a business process automation. You identify the business process and you place a automation in that. That's a business process automation. RPA, as I told you, extensive macro and scripts. And intelligent process automation is kind of mixing RPA with artificial intelligence. So these are the type of macro, BPA, RPA, and IPA. Clear? Any doubt? Yes. All these tools have a specific way of accepting the data, a specific format. If the auditor doesn't have that data format available, then yes, it will take time. So for that, we need to understand, like, when I talk about adopting a digital technology, you need to understand which technology can help you. Over there, you need to understand what is the data that technology will accept, what is the data format you will get, okay, how the data will be processed, everything. Over here, you need to do a detailed analysis, assessment, whether my technology, whether the software I'm adopting, whether the tool I'm adopting will be compatible or not. Compatibility assessment, data assessment, data structure, data format, or we fall under this category of data assessment, compatibility assessment, okay, practical feasibility of implementation. Then you have a cost benefit analysis. A lot of things are there you need to do before you adopt a technology, or you decide even which technology to adopt. Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? Till now, everything clear? Whatever we have done, whatever we have discussed? Okay. Now, whenever there is a IT, whenever there is, what do you say, technology, systems in place, system, we are talking about system in audit. Okay. I'm talking about now digital audit. Okay. That we understanding the system of the entity. Whenever entity systems are there, we need to think of SA315. SA 315 says understanding the entity, including internal controls and IT environment. So when I'm talking about understanding the entity, including its IT environment, so SA 315 talks about how to understand the IT environment. We have discussed that in detail already in the SA 315, but just to give you a glimpse, I need to in order to understand entities' IT environment, I need to see what applications they are using, IT infrastructure components, organizers, structure and governance, policy, procedures, process, extent of IT integration, and the IT risk and control that the entity is having. I need to understand all these things in order to get more understanding on the entity's IT environment. There would be, remember, I have this particular table in when we discuss in SA 315 also, I explain you in a tabular format that whenever we are understanding the entity, we need to, go end to end. For example, here, the application, a particular application is there. Now, this application is supported by a particular database because application is something, logic. They do not store data, they process data. Now, to store data, you need to have a database. Now, to run an application, you need operating system. So you have an operating system over here. Okay. Now, to connect the operating system and application to internet, you need a network. So this is the network talking about. Again, to connect internet, you need network. Okay. But network also goes to server somewhere. Okay. So there should be a server. Server will connect through internet with the application and database and operating system in order to process. So this is a server. So by this way, you can prepare a whole tabular matrix that is known as the, system matrix. You can prepare a system matrix wherein you can identify which system is used, what is the dependency of the system, how other systems are interlinked. We sometimes prepare system flowchart. Okay. We sometimes prepare a system flowchart. So these flowcharts, metrics help us to understand about the system, how the systems are dependent on one another, how the systems are working. Clear? Any doubt? Again, understanding of IT areas that you need to understand the flow of transaction, identification of significant system, the way we did, like, preparing the metrics or flow chart, identification of manual and automated controls with each of the system that is there. Okay. Identification of the technologies used, like system use, basically RPA, blockchain, whatever technology it is. Then assessing the complexity of the IT environment. These are certain things that you need to do when you are understanding the IT environment as an auditor. We have already discussed in detail this in SA 315, but again, I'm reiterating the topic that, okay, how to understand, how to evaluate or assess the IT environment. Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, let's take a quick 10-minute break. Okay. After the break, we will continue the session and I'll explain you some more technologies, risk of having technologies also, basically threats and risks about the technologies. Okay. Let's have a quick 10-minute break. Continue the session. Okay. So we were discussing about, understanding the IT environment. Now, again, whenever I talk about IT environment, there are risks also. Risk with respect to IT environment, because without risk, there is nothing risk free available in any of the system. Risk will be there. Now, what kind of risk I'm talking about? Basically, I'm talking about multiple type of risk, which may be, kind of cyber security risk. Okay. Data corruption, data loss risk, system downtime risk. Before I proceed further, I want to discuss about one more technology, and I would be able to explain you the risk much appropriate way. Have you heard about API? I'll just write it down what I'm talking about. API. Have you heard about this term? Anyone? Have you heard about API? Anyone? API something? Anyone, if you can tell me what is API? No one? No? No. Okay. Okay. So API, we call it, application programming interface. Okay. It's a connection point kind of. So what APIs does is, I'll just explain you in summary. Okay. API are application programming interface. So for example, let's say there is a system. Okay. This is a particular, let's say this is a system. Now there is X user over here. Now user wants to get data from the system. Okay. But why system will give data to X user? Okay. And system can be vast. So where to go? Like, like for example, if I want to go, let's say there is a store. Okay. I'll replace this system example with a store. Okay. Normal general store that you have, to purchase groceries. Like you have a general store. And user like is a customer. Now, if customer wants to purchase something from a general store, he needs to go to the general store. And can he purchase from anywhere in a general store? Answer is no. He needs to go a specific counter. Okay. So there is a specific counter in the general store where he needs to go and, say, okay, this I want to purchase. I called it a endpoint or access point, or kind of, like counter or endpoint, access point, whatever you want to say. So customer goes, place a request. Please give me this. Okay. To an endpoint or to the counter. The counter then in return will provide that particular item to the customer, or we call it data. And this whole system, the endpoint, is known as a API, application programming interface. Like, just to explain you what is the scenario. Because anyone can go to the endpoint, it possesses some risk. Similar way, other IT applications also possess some risk. Okay, this API, like I need to go to the counter, I need to demand something, is a kind of a system. Okay, and if I use this system, means I can go and I can just work on the system. I can request data. So there should be some way to identify like, okay, whether this is a genuine request or not genuine request or something like that. So there are risks attached, risk that person is authorized to request data, kind of. That is a one kind of risk I'm talking about over here. That is a one particular kind of risk I'm talking about. Another is, let's say, for example, uh, you know, different kind of risks can be there in the market. Okay, different kind of risks can be there. For example, I would say, someone is getting deleting the data without my permission from through API. Okay, someone is deleting the data without my permission through API, because you have a counter, you can place any request to get the data, request to delete the data, can be anything. Okay, but there should be controls around that particular counter, or there should be some controls so that no one can delete, or no one can unauthorizedly use that particular data. So in that way, it becomes very important to understand what are the risks around the IT system. Okay, and what are the risks with respect to usage of that IT system, so that you can identify the appropriate controls over there. And that becomes very imperative to identify the risk, otherwise you cannot identify where to audit, what to look for. I'll just give you one example, live example I'll show you. Okay, of that I was talking about, of API. Just a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, let me show you that one. This is the API. I am just putting some queries, some data format. Okay, and on the basis of that, I am trying to obtain some data from a particular data set. Let's say I enter everything with respect to the data. Let's say I need data in JSON format, offset by 2, maximum number records to return 10. Okay, month. I don't want to get filters. Okay, year 2023, 22. Then all companies no, quantities no, something no. Execute. See, I get a response. Okay, I provided him some information and he gave me a response of the data. So I got some data by just providing a response. Okay. By providing a request to a particular API link. Now, this is how API works basically. Okay. I can do visualization at the same time for that particular data. I'll show you visualization of that particular data that I have obtained right now. And this is something, these are the tools that are used, for like data processing, data analytics. So I'm showing you one example for the data analytics. Just a minute. I think there is some issue for with respect to this data. But again, like this is an example with respect to I can get data over here, and I can process the way I want the process and do everything. But they possess a risk also. Am I authorized user to get this data? What if anyone who is not authorized, he's getting this data? What if I can change this data? What if I have the authority to change by mistake? What if I I don't get data get lost, corruption, data corruption. So these all are IT risk which are there. And because of these risks, we need to understand, what system is there and what are the risks so that we can easily identify and audit the system. So that's why I was talking about unauthorized access, gaining access privileges, unauthorized changes to the IT applications, failure to make IT updates, inappropriate manual intervention, data loss or data corruption, risk of a system downtime, okay, system integration problem or compatibility problems. These all are risks, and we need to understand risk so that we can, appropriately address the risk. And one such risk with respect to the IT environment is cyber risk. Cyber risk is kind of a cyber attack or an attempt to gain access to a computer system or a network system to cause damage, steal, expose, alter, disable, or destroy the data. So a cyber attack or a cyber risk is a higher risk, okay, compared to the other ones. uh, you know these risks can these particular type of attacks can destroy the data. People, usually hackers, steal the data through use of different technologies. So there could be different technologies can be used to steal the data. First is malware. Malware is kind of a software only, but this is a program or code which is put in your computer through different means. Okay, either it through a virus or through hidden in a particular file. This particular malware, what it does is it either encrypts your computer or it harms your computer. It reduces the you know process of your computer. Basically, it reduces the processing capacity. It can do a lot of things. It can do a lot of things. Okay. So malware attack or malware presence in your computer will will create a huge problem. There are many many examples I could show you. One such example I'll show you of ransomware. What ransomware does, ransomware attacks basically they block your computer and they leave a message on your computer. Okay, your computer has been hacked or encrypted, give us money, otherwise we will destroy it. For example, this is a example of a ransomware attack letter. Usually people get on their computer who are victim of ransomware. So they get these kind of messages in their computer. Okay, this is a Bitcoin wallet. Send us this much amount of Bitcoin. Otherwise, we will delete all your files. And your computer then is encrypted, gone. You won't be able to get the data back. This is how malware actually, ransomware actually works. And ransomware is an example of a malware. Any software program or code which, impacts negatively to your computer is malware basically. And ransomware is one of that. Okay. So multiple types of malware can be there. Multiple types. Okay. One is ransomware, just I told you. Then that is a, fileless malware. Means that is a kind of, not included in the file. You don't install anything, you don't bring any file, but still it is, comes into your system through a particular PowerShell or a command. Now, you might not be aware about the PowerShell. I'm definitely sure. Okay, but let me tell you. Let me show you some example of that particular uh, PowerShell that I was talking about. So this is the PowerShell. Okay, remember something you might have heard about DOS looking thing in your previous computers. There is a DOS looking command prompt. Command prompt with the added advantages or privileges is PowerShell basically. So PowerShell helps you to operate your system efficiently, or it gives a lot more privileges than you can get through your normal usage of computer. So PowerShell is a very powerful a tool in your computer, and a malware through this PowerShell are fileless malwares. They enter in your system without any file through PowerShell. So that is a PowerShell basically. Okay, they are into into your system through without any file. Again, Trojan is kind of a virus hidden behind a file. Mobile malware is kind of malware in your mobile. So these are the malware type of things that can destroy your computer. Then you have a denial of service attack, DDoS. DDoS or DDoS, there are multiple things in that category. Denial of service attacks is kind of means you are not allowed to access your own resources, own websites, own systems. There is someone has put a block to disrupt your business operation so that you cannot access your systems. That is a denial of service attack. Then you have a phishing. Phishing are ultimate phishing. If I show you example of phishing, you will be stunned like, okay, this is also phishing. Let me show you one example. So let's say, for example, you are going to any website where there is a lot of uh, pop-ups coming. Okay, there are a lot of pop-ups. If that is some kind of website, that is known as, if you get a lot of pop-ups, that is known as pop-up phishing. Okay, or pop-up phishing is a new term. But usually, remember, you receive some emails, okay, that I am from this particular region, I want to do business with you, I have this much amount money in your spam mailbox. Okay, so you receive such kind of email in your spam. Now, where you receive such kind of email in your spam, okay, we are this person, please provide us your detail, you have won lottery, something like that. Okay, so if you get these kind of emails, that is the phishing attack. Means they are trying to get your details, get your personal details, so that they can use it, and they can, what do you say, use, and either they can harm you, harm your system, or they can take a advantage of you. Like they can hack your computer if you provide your details. They can go and like if you provide your bank account details, they can just take out the money, they can do something like that. So that is known as phishing, where they come to you and ask your details. Okay, we are this person, can you provide us this particular detail, or you have won the lottery, can you provide your details so that we can share your lottery amount, something like that. A lot of scams are happening. So this is an example of phishing, where they try to take your detail, try to take your email, SMS, phone. Okay, say they try to take information through various ways. And if they are successful in getting your information, means you are gone. Means they will use that information, and they will now what they will do is, they will basically access your systems, your bank accounts, or anything through your information that you have provided. There are multiple type of phishing attacks. Okay, one is kind of this particular one, what you say, spear phishing, that is targeted to the specific what do you say, individuals. Then you have whaling, like that is targeted to C-suite level people's, CFOs, CEOs, CXOs. Okay. Then you have smishing, that sending text message on your mobile that you have won this lottery, you have obtained this offer, please click here to get the offer, kind of that. Wishing is a kind of calling you and providing you the details. Okay, you have won this lottery, you have won this offer, you have won 2 days 3 nights package anywhere. Okay, something like that. So these are the ways they scam you. They take your details, and they then use your details against yourself. That is phishing. Yes, getting emails from income, fake emails from income tax, from someone that pretending that email is from income tax website, and you click on a link, the virus get downloaded. That's a kind of phishing. Spoofing is again kind of way of stealing information, but in a sophisticated way. Means they will create a fake website of a genuine website. Okay, for example, I'm not sure how many of you are available. You know that these are domain spoofing, or spoofing. What is the scenario is, they create a website which looks like a copy of a real website. I'll show you one example. I'm not saying this will be a domain spoofing, but similar example on the internet. See, instead of google.com, I removed one G. Okay, google.com. So what, again, it's also a search engine. Earlier, it used to look like more like a Google, but it's now not. But this is some time of domain spoofing. Means you just change a word or a letter in your domain. Like, let's say, for example, www.google.com. I just removed one G and I took the domain and prepared like a Google. So if someone does a spell mistake, okay, he's landed to my domain, he will think it's a real domain, real website that he's looking for, and he's gone. I'm not saying this is a spoofing only, but could be an example. Could be an example of that. Okay. So spoofing is like, they disguise and they look like a genuine websites, okay, genuine domain website, genuine person, and they try to steal information from you. Identity based attacks, again, they take out your details and they do the attack. Insider threats is considered, people who are within the organizations, they poses a threat to the IP property, knowledge, business process, company policies. Okay, it could be a current or a former employee of a company. IoT based attack. IoT is the Internet of Things or devices. You can connect a lot of things, Alexa based things, Google Home based things. Things could be connected. Let's say, for example, you have collected your lights, your AC, your some equipments through Alexa. Now, this is the Internet IoT environment that you have created. So once a IoT environment is created, there are chances of risk. Means, let's say, for example, you added an unauthorized device or device which is not a uh, properly secured. People through that device can hack into your IoT environment and can hack your systems, your computers, your devices. So for any cyber risk, there are three phases to identify or to basically, manage, assess, and do things. One is you assess the cyber risk. Like, what is the risk? Which risk I face here? The category of the risk. Ransomware, DDoS. What is the risk I'm facing over here? Second is the impact analysis of the risk. When I talk about impact analysis, it is not only the impact on your system, it is the monetary loss, because at that particular point in time, you will not do your daily operations. You will be not able to process your transaction. Your business may get stopped. Okay. You may end up paying regulatory fines, penalties for the data breach. Okay. Ransomware. Let's say, for example, ransomware. Someone hacked your computer, encrypted it, is now asking for ransom. Okay. Pay me this much worth of bitcoins and then only I will provide you data back. So kind of ransomware. Okay. So again, if you pay ransom, then it's a cost to your company. Your IP, let's say, for example, someone did a ransomware attack on your computer, stole the data. Now this contains, some IP data, intellectual property, patents, some formulas, recipes, or something like that. That person can use now for his own benefits. He can sell in the black market. So loss of IP, breach of privacy, fines, penalties, a lot of things can be there. Impact of a cyber security, cyber risk. Third is the managing the cyber risk. Like, once I identify what is the impact, once I identify what is the risk, now I just need to manage it. Implement cyber security methods, implement firewalls, cyber security programs, IT security programs, include new technology, update softwares, okay, understand and document the risk, okay, and then, do a lot of things which are required. And on the basis of that, you can manage the cyber risk. So basically, it's kind of, identify the risk, okay, protect the risk, okay, detect, respond, and recover. So what happens is, let's say, for example, this is particular example of ransomware. So first of all, when I want to manage my cyber risk, what I need to do is I need to first, identify what is the risk. So let's say I identified this risk. Identified ransomware risk. Okay. Now, what I will do is I will do risk assessment. I will do, understand how critical this risk is. What is where, which systems could be affected. A lot of things I can do. to understand, identify the particular risk and understand the risk. Once I identify, I need to protect the risk. Means I need to implement, okay, my assets. I need to train. I need to implement data security and everything. But again, nothing is 100% sure. So something will be left out. Even after protecting, let's say I protected the risk. Even after protecting, there will be a chance that small gap is left out. Okay. A small gap is left out because you cannot protect the risk totally in absolute way. Now, so if small gap is left out, there are chances of cyber security incident. An incident can happen. So for that, you need to, if an incident happen, you need to detect the risk immediately. You need to detect it. Sometimes, what happens is, let's say there's a virus in your computer, but a lot of times, people are not able to identify or timely detect, yes, there is a virus. Till the time the virus has done a lot of damage in their PC, or, destroyed a lot of files, corrupted a lot of files. So timely detection of incident or virus or something like that is very critical. Once you detect, what you need to do is you need to then respond to risk. Means once you identify, okay, there's a virus in my computer, now I need to respond. That, okay, install antivirus, do a full computer scan, try to remove the antivirus. In case of cyber incidents, respond to the risk. Okay, understand what is the data breach is there, what data we have lost, what could be the repercussions, what could be the penalties and fine, what action we can bring in. Okay, this is the security measures now we need to implement immediately. Implement. Okay, stop all the excesses. Whatever is required to be done, do it immediately. You respond to the risk, and then you need to recover from here and need to go back over here to protect the risk. You need to stabilize your systems. You need to recover from the attack, from the risk. Okay, you need to bring to the normalization, or you need to normalize the process and bring back to the normal level. So that is the whole risk management process. So this is type of known as cyber risk management process, managing the cyber risk. Okay, so this is nothing but managing the cyber risk. So if I talk about here that we were talking about assessing the cyber risk, impact analysis of the cyber risk, managing the cyber risk. And if I bifurcate all three things in a multiple stages, that is first when I say, a stage one, that kind of assess the cyber risk. For that, you identify and you protect. Then you detect the cyber risk if something is left out. So you do an impact analysis of the cyber risk. Okay. Then you respond to the cyber risk. Like third stage, managing the cyber risk and recovering and going to the normal operations from there. So this is known as the identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover as a risk management process, cyber risk management process. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? No. Okay. Let me show you one example. Okay, how these things work. Like what do you say? Ransomware attack. I'll show you one video of a ransomware attack. You know how the ransomware attack happens. That you download a wrong file, you click it, and what happens afterwards. Okay. So one, I have a normal video with me, which will provide you a good information that how ransomware attacks happens. So what a real ransomware attack looks like. I'll just show you. So let's say this particular file over here, okay, is a ransomware file that you have downloaded from internet. Okay, like it looks like a similar normal file, but let's say for example, it's a small file that you downloaded. You think it's something else. Okay, this particular file over here. Now this contains a malicious code, malware. The moment you double click on the file, okay, this is a, let's say for example, right side is the normal files. The moment you double click, the virus pop-ups, okay, and by the time if you see on the right hand side, all your files are getting encrypted one by one. All your files are gone. If you see, these files are getting converted and encrypted by this particular malware or ransomware, and they will give you time. This timer starts. That okay, now the timer has started. You pay this amount, otherwise whatever files we have encrypted is gone. This is a live example of the ransomware attack. This is how the ransomware attack happens. And by this way, the files comes in your computer, the virus comes in your computer, malware comes in your computer, and it's encrypt all of your files, all, which you cannot decrypt. Unless and until you pay some amount to these people, then only you will be able to decrypt, otherwise it's gone. So this is one kind of example that I wanted to show you with you guys on the on ransomware. I'm pretty much sure you might have already seen examples on virus and everything, so that's there. Any doubt? See, when I talk about protecting the systems, protecting the softwares, safeguarding the system, it is the prime responsibility of the management. In audit also, we have seen safeguarding the system is a prime responsibility of management, not auditor. So this safeguarding the system, doing cyber risk assessment is everything with the management. Management has to do this. As an auditor, we should also be aware about this process. Why? Reason because if you want to audit, you should be aware. Okay, what are the cyber risks? If you want to do a digital audit, let's say you want to audit a system, you should be aware what cyber risks are there, what cyber controls are there. How can I get a comfort that this system is proper? What if there was a cyber incident and data is gone? The way I showed you right now, malware one. Okay, ransomware attack. What if something, ransomware attack has happened in the past and the data is gone? How can you take a comfort unless and until you do not know what risks are, what protections are placed in the scenario? Okay, what protections are placed around the system? What is the cyber security? How much systems are secure? Till the time you don't understand, you cannot place a reliance on the system. You cannot place a reliance on IT controls. You need to understand, okay, what cyber security, cyber risk assessment has been done by management, whether that is appropriate. You see, with risk assessment, we have seen when we were dealing SA 315, we saw that management is required to perform risk assessment. Not only auditor, management also does the risk assessment. Management also does the going concern assessment. Management also does the related party assessment, identification of the related party. So because management is doing something, we are not exempt as an auditor. We also need to check whatever management has done is correct or not. So it's responsibility on both. But the first and the prime responsibility lies with the management. When you do digital audit, you do audit of a system. At that point in time, it's your responsibility, Otto, to perform risk assessment for these systems, to identify risk, to check whether the appropriate controls are placed or not, to check whether the control placed are working effectively or not, whether they are designed effectively or not. Here we are talking about client's IT system, not the tools that you are using for the auditing digitally, but I'm talking about digital audit. Risk comes with the systems where the financial data is there with the client, okay, or non-financial data, but critical to the financial matters. So these are the systems I'm talking about, the client system, auditee system, companies or organization system, for which the management is responsible. Uh, any further doubts? I hope Anumula, you are like pretty much clear now. I hope I'm like I have explained your doubt. Any further doubts? Any further doubts? Whatever we have discussed till now, are you clear with that? Yes, no, something. Okay, so there is one doubt. So management technology tools are preventive in nature, whereas for auditor we use it in detective control. No, as this is not the case. Like management tools are preventive in nature. No, see, controls can be both preventive and detective. Whether it can be at the management, they are placed by the management. We don't place any detective controls. We do the test procedures to identify whether the controls placed by the management are operating effectively or not. Management can place preventive controls, management can place detective controls. But the most important part is we need to understand whether it's a preventive or detective, whether it's working appropriately or not. So auditors' roles is to understand the controls are working effectively around the system. Could be a preventive, could be a detective system control. I hope I'm clear, Mancha. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? No? Okay. If no further doubts, Let's proceed forward. Before I proceed forward, I would like you guys to tell me. See, now we have discussed a lot of IT systems, IT controls. Can anyone give me some examples of IT controls that you guys have already seen? Examples of IT controls. Can be any example. Examples of IT control can be any IT control example around vendor master, fixed asset, inventory, cash and bank, general ITGC, IT general controls, whatever you want. Can anyone give me example? Come on, guys. Examples of some IT controls. I would like to hear from you. Very good, Suraj. Segregation of duties. Yes. Very good, Mohammed. User access control, role based controls. Very good. What else? Come on, guys. There are not many IT controls. Intally control to change any entry past or delete when you have an audit trail feature. Very good. Very good, Anumala. Anumula. Sorry. Uh, can you give an example of application control, Suraj? Like, let's discuss the example that you have seen in your article chip. Reading something else, but you have seen practically in your article chip. Anyone? User access control, Suraj. Yes. Very good. Correct. Very good, Mancha. Delegation of authority, antivirus, a lot of things can be there. Login ID passwords. Okay. Authorization to connect even LAN. Yes. Very good. Very good, Anumula. So some examples were there, like I'll show you some one more example I want to discuss with respect to that. With the process we will discuss in detail. Let's say, for example, there is a company ABC Limited. ABC Limited has a multiple departments. They have a procurement department. They have a vendor master department. Now, what vendor master department has done is they have created a facility for vendors. Okay, if any vendor has a change in their master, for example, they have a change in mailing address, they have a change in bank account, change in some other information. So if there is any vendor change, any vendor master change, then vendors can directly Okay, registered vendors basically can directly request a change to this mail ID. Mail ID has been given. Change master mail ID is this one. Change master VMF at the rate abc.com. Something like that. Okay. Hypothetical example. So this mail ID has been given. So vendor, registered vendor has to mail the changes, okay, or request the changes to this mail ID. And once a change is, requested on this mail ID, the department over here, okay, once a change is mailed or requested, department, that vendor master department picks up the change from email and processes the same. Simple. They take up the change, whatever has been requested by the registered vendor, and they process the change. Simple procedure. Okay. So they have created this facility so that procurement department should not be, bothered every time with the change master. Now, what is the problem do you see in this particular process? What is the problem do you see in this particular process? So, what is the problem do you see in this particular process? Very good, Anumula. Very good. Mohammed, can you explain your answer a bit? Anyone, come on, guys. What is the problem over here? I've received only two answers. What is the problem over here, guys, in this particular process? Anyone? We are doing cyber risk assessment by identifying the risk over here. What is the risk in this process? Come on, guys, quickly. We have discussed so much now. You just need to read the process, what else is given, and you just need to give me the risk. Like, what risk do you think is there in this particular process? Let's say I have a maker checker control over here. Before processing, there is a maker checker control. So I will highlight here as a triangle. That is, this particular is a maker checker control. So whatever request comes, a person will prepare the change request and a person will approve the change request before posting into the system. So maker checker control is there. So I have a control over here, one control over here. What else? So the maker, what he does is he picks a request based on change. He picks a request, whatever there is on email. He, based on the changes suggested in email, he prepares vendor master change file. This file is reviewed by supervisor. Okay, so this is the process. Now tell me, what do you see a problem? What problem do you see in this particular control or in this particular process? Let's talk about the whole process. Okay, so let's say this particular mail ID, was shared with procurement department to share with all vendors. And procurement department did share this mail ID to all vendors and the information about this particular facility. Anyone? Any issue in this whole process? No one? I'll tell you one big problem. Phishing attack to this mail ID. I pretend to be a registered vendor. I send an email to this mail ID asking to change, whatever I'm pretending to be, that vendor's bank account to my bank account. How will you verify that this phishing mail is appropriate, authentic? How? This particular part is cyber risk. Or what if a person sends a malware on this particular mail ID? So when the user picks up the file to check the change, he by mistake opens the malware. Again, this is cyber risk. There could be multiple cyber risks. When you create a system, you create something facility on the internet, you create some electronic IT facility, by default cyber risk will come into picture. Once a cyber risk comes into the picture, you need to focus and take consideration that okay, what cyber risk could be in this particular process. In your module also, you will get some examples. So control consideration for cyber risk. Over here, some examples are given, like control around vendor setup and modification, control around electronic fund transfers, control around patch management. So these are the examples, okay, which are given in your module also about assessing the cyber risk and what controls could be placed. The way, correct, Suraj, you are saying we can contact the original vendor. So this is the control. Once I identify the cyber risk of phishing, I can add a control for this particular cyber risk, that is contact the vendor first. Okay. to verify, authenticity of request. I can, for this malware cyber risk, what I can do is I can implement a control. Okay. All files coming in this mailbox are automatically getting scanned for viruses or for malwares. So before coming to my inbox, it is getting scanned by the server. Server has the antivirus or anti-malware software. They scan all the files, and then if everything is fine, then only they will forward the mail to me. So another cyber control. So once you identify the risk, you can, conceive, you can place the control. You can identify what security measures you can place around it. Are you getting the point, guys? Here, any doubt with respect to this? Any doubt? So some examples are already given. Controls around vendor setup, controls around electronic fund transfer, control around patch management. These are examples which can help you understand that, okay, how controls can be set up around various processes to mitigate the cyber risk. Any doubt? Any doubt, guys, till now? Yes, no, anything? Till now, you have not understood whatever we have discussed. Anything, guys, anything, any doubt? With respect to smallest even point, I'm perfectly fine. You can ask. Okay, very good, Mohammed. Thank you. Guys, see, your feedback is really important for me. Are you getting the topic? You are not getting the topic. You are able to understand, not able to understand. What additional you need? If something can be, shared, that will be really helpful. I'm here trying to, provide you as much knowledge as I can. Okay, by sharing the examples, by showing you the examples. I want same level of, participation from your side also, so that, I can provide you the knowledge that, actually is required over here. So please, I request, if you have any doubt, any feedback, anything to give, I'm definitely open. Please, you can share. Okay, very good question. How can entity will know whether the vendor mail is phishing or, phishing example or scan for marble? How can entity can know? See, whenever a mail comes, okay, there are multiple things to identify whether it's a phishing mail or not. So what can be done is to identify, okay, source of email. Okay, like, okay, from where the email is coming, what is the mail ID, whether it's the authentic domain or known, what change is suggested. See, address change, physical address change could be still fine. Change in the contact person still I can allow. But change in bank account is something very critical. So what change is there? Okay. Then if they are changing bank account, you can, before placing a change, you can request bank to verify payee name. So there is a facility, okay, in bank for corporates that they can go and verify the payee name before they approve the bank account, before they can enter the bank account. So let's say, for example, I had a company. When I enrolled a vendor, I had the GST certificate that was the name of ABC Private Limited. Let's say someone opened a company ABCD Private Limited. So when I will give a request to bank, I will say bank, okay, check whether this account belongs to ABC Private Limited. Bank will check, okay, no, this is ABCD. Bank will give me no, this doesn't match with your payee name. Payee name is different. So it's a trigger point for me that it could be a phishing email. Uh, I would have registered email address of the vendor. Whether I received email from the registered email address of the vendor or not, I can contact the vendor. Vendor, do you have you suggested this change? Vendor will say yes. I will say okay. Now I'll process. Okay. Or I will forward the change first to the procurement department. They will verify from the vendor whether actually vendor is suggesting the change or not. Okay. URL or kind of domain of the email address. Let's say, for example, there is a listed company, very big listed company, but the change request is coming from @Gmail, @Hotmail, @mail, or something like that. So let's say malware. So whatever attachments are coming into my mailbox, they are getting scanned on a timely basis. Then only I'm able to open. Okay, phishing emails. So today we have artificial intelligence. So all the mailbox can be equipped with the artificial intelligence. They can, before my reading, they can read the mail and can identify whether this is a phishing or malware contained mail or not, and they can directly delete or discard or throw the mail in spam or in junk. So these kind of techniques can be used. Softwares can be put into in place. Correct, Mancha. Not starting with some mail IDs, some links are there which are given in your mail or in your request document, that different URLs. Website not starting with appropriate domains. They are pointing to someone else. So that is something like in this way. If that is a scenario. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? No? Okay. No doubt. Then I have few things. Okay. Before we conclude the session. Number one, revise whatever we have discussed today. Read it thoroughly. Read the chapter thoroughly and come with your doubts in the next chapter, in the next lecture. Okay. Once you read thoroughly, you might be getting some doubts. Okay. In the next lecture, I will be taking up those doubts and I will try to solve all those doubts. Number two, read rest of the topics also of this particular chapter. Read rest of the topics also of this particular chapter, and by the end of next lecture, we will close this chapter. We will complete the discussion on this chapter. Number three, in the next lecture also, I will start with a new topic along with this. Chapter number 13, group audits. So if you get time, please read that topic also. So I'm giving you assignment to read, okay, this chapter fully, and if you get time, then chapter number 13 also. So that when I will start the discussion, it will be very easy for you to understand. Okay. If no further doubt, guys, I would say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for participation. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Ashok ji, session over. Yes. Thank you.